Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, chapters 1 through 4. Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. The words of Qoheleth, son of David, sovereign in Jerusalem. Futility, futility, says Qoheleth. Futility, futility, all is futile. What does man gain from all his labor in which he toils under the sun? A generation passes away and a generation comes, but the earth stands forever. The sun also rises, and the sun goes and hurries back to the place where it arose, going to the south and turning round to the north, turning, and on its rounds the wind returns. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea never overflows. To the place from which the rivers come, there they return again. All matters are wearisome, no one is able to speak of it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been done is what shall be, what has been done is what shall be done, and there is none new under the sun. Is there a matter of which it is said, "See, this is new"? It was here already, long ago. There is no remembrance of former ones, nor is there any remembrance of those that are to come by those who come later on. I, Qoheleth, was sovereign over Yisrael in Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that has been done under the Shemaim. This evil task Elohim has given to the sons of man to be humbled by it. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and see, all was futile and feeding on wind. The crooked could not be straightened, and what is lacking could not be counted. So I spoke to my heart, saying, See, I have attained greatness, and have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem, and my heart has seen much wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I know that this too is feeding on wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases suffering. Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, chapter 2. I said in my heart, Come now, let me try you with rejoicing and find out what is good. But see, that too was futile. I said of laughter, It is madness, and of rejoicing, what does it do? I searched in my heart how to stimulate my body with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, until I could see what was good for the sons of men to do under the Shemaim all the days of their lives. I made my works great. I built myself houses, and I planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks for myself, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made pools of water for myself, to water from them a plantation of growing trees. I bought male and female servants, and I came to have sons of the household. Also, I had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold, and the treasures of sovereigns and of the provinces. I provided male and female singers for myself, and the pleasures of men, a woman, and women. Thus I became great and increased more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and all that my eyes desired I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion from all my labor. But when I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, see, all was futile and feeding on wind, and there was no gain under the sun. And I turned myself to look at wisdom and madness and folly. For what would the man do who comes after the sovereign but what already has been done? Then I saw that wisdom is better than folly, as light is better than darkness. The wise one's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And I also knew that one event befalls them all. And I said in my heart, As the event of the fool, even so it befalls me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this also is futile. For there is no more lasting remembrance of the wise than of the fool, since in the days to come all is forgotten. And how does a wise man die? With the fool. And I hated life, because the work that was done under the sun was evil on me, for all is futile and feeding on wind. And I hated all my labor in which I had toiled under the sun, because I leave it to a man who would come after me, and who knows whether he is wise or foolish. Yet he shall rule over all my labor in which I toiled, and in which I have shown myself wise under the sun. That too is futile. So I turned my heart and despaired of all the labor in which I had toiled under the sun. For a man might labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet he leaves his heritage to a man who has not labored for it. That too is futile and a great evil. For what does a man get for all his labor and strain of his heart with which he has toiled under the sun? For all his days are sufferings, and his work grievous. Even in the night his heart takes no rest. That too is futile. A man could do no better but to eat and drink and enjoy himself in his labor. That too I saw was from the hand of Elohim. For who eats or who finds enjoyment without him? For he gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his eyes. But to the sinner he gives the task of gathering and collecting to give to the good before Elohim. That too is futile and feeding on wind. Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. To all there is an appointed time, even a time for every pursuit under the Shemayim. A time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones, and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for battle, and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his toil? I have seen the task Elohim has given to the sons of men to be humbled by it. He has made it all pretty in its time, even the ages he has put in their hearts, except that no one finds out the work that Elohim does from beginning to end. I know that there is no good for them but to rejoice and to do good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is a gift of Elohim. I know that whatever Elohim does is forever. There is no adding to it, and there is no taking from it. Elohim does it, that men should reverence before him. Whatever is has already been, and what shall be has been before. But Elohim seeks out what has been pursued. Then again I saw under the sun, in the place of right ruling, wickedness was there, and in the place of righteousness, wickedness was there. I said in my heart, Elohim judges the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time for every matter and for every work. I said in my heart, concerning the matter of the sons of men, Elohim examines them to see if they indeed are beasts. For the event of the sons of men is also the event of beasts. One event befalls them. As one dies, so dies the other. Indeed, they all have one breath. Man has no advantage over beasts, for all is futile. All are going to one place. All came from the dust, and all return to the dust. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men, which goes upward, and the spirit of the beast, which goes down to the earth? So I saw that man could do no better but to rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who would bring him to see what shall be after him? Qoheleth, Ecclesiastes, chapter 4. Then I looked again at all the oppression that is done under the sun, and see the tears of the oppressed, but they have no comforter, and power on the side of their oppressors, but they have no comforter. Therefore I commended the dead who were already dead, more than the living who are still alive. And better than both is he who has never existed, he who has not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. And I saw that all the toil and skill of the work bring envy between man and his neighbor. That too is futile and feeding on wind. The fool folds his hands and consumes his own flesh. Better is a hand filled with rest than both hands filled with toil and feeding on wind. Then I looked again at futility under the sun. There is one without a second, who has neither son nor brother, and there is no end to all his labors. His eye also is not satisfied with riches. And for whom am I toiling and depriving myself of good? That too is futility and an evil task. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one lifts his companion up. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they keep warm. But how does one keep warm? Although one might be overpowered, two withstand him, and a threefold cord is not readily broken. A poor and wise youth is better than an old and foolish sovereign who no longer knows how to take warning. For he comes out of prison to be sovereign, although in his reign he was born poor. I have seen all the living who walk under the sun. They were with the second youth who stands in his place. There was no end of all the people, all who came before them, but the ones who come afterward do not rejoice in him. For that too is futile and feeding on wind.